We had a bunch of interesting elections yesterday. A very important reminder, useful reminder that we don't just have a presidential race going on right now. We have 435 House seat elections coming up in November, many primaries for those happening in the months leading up. We have 35 Senate elections and the possibility that Democrats would be able to take over the Senate. We've looked at that. And yesterday, there were a bunch of interesting primaries that I want to talk about today. Not at all surprisingly, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had a primary challenger who she easily defeated. The challenger was Michelle Caruso Cabrera, a CNBC host, former Republican, running now as a Democrat, and AOC easily won. As of right now, looks like AOC had about 73% of the vote in that race. Because that's such a blue district, the primary is essentially the general election. Like, there will be a Republican on the ballot against AOC in November, but the fact that she won the primary all but guarantees that AOC will get a second term in the House of Representatives. Another race that we were watching very closely and will continue to watch closely now that we have a primary winner is the Democratic challenger against Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell for his Kentucky Senate seat. Mitch McConnell has been one of the most successful Republicans from the measurement, from the standpoint of what he's been able to achieve. As many of you know, an excellent and effective tool for the right in getting a bunch of judges confirmed, holding open a seat on the Supreme Court that should have been Barack Obama's to replace, with Merrick Garland obstructing Mitch McConnell that seat for long enough that Donald Trump ended up getting to choose Neil Gorsuch. An incredible coup victory for Republicans. Horrible for the world, horrible for the country. Never should have been allowed to happen. But if you're a Republican, certainly Mitch McConnell has been effective. He has a serious primary challenge, and Amy McGrath seemed to be the leader going into the primary. Over the last couple of weeks, there was some energy around Charles Booker, a more progressive alternative in the Democratic primary. But indeed, Amy McGrath has won there with about 45% of the vote. That's a plurality. Charles Booker only with about 36% of the vote. So we will see Amy McGrath challenge Mitch McConnell. We've said before, it's a very uphill battle, but even getting Mitch McConnell to have a fight, even forcing Republicans nationally to have to spend money to defend Mitch McConnell's seat is great. And she could actually win. Amy McGrath was up by 1 point, a tie within the margin of error, statistically speaking, a couple of weeks ago. That's going to be a great one to watch. Interesting Republican primary in North Carolina to mention, where a 24-year-old guy defeated the Trump-endorsed candidate in the Republican primary for a House seat. His name is Madison Cawthorn. Trump endorsed his opponent, Linda Bennett. This is the 11th congressional district in North Carolina. That's the seat that was formerly held by Trump's now latest chief of staff, Mark Meadows, who's a horrible, horrible guy. Unofficially, Cawthorn won very easily by about a 75-25 margin. This is a notable defeat for the Trump-endorsed candidate, but it's important to remember that the guy that won, Cawthorn, he also loves Trump. Trump endorsed his opponent, but this is not like an anti-Trump Republican that won. Cawthorn loves Trump. It's just that Trump picked somebody else. So either way, if he wins in November, it's still horrible. Interestingly, he's not even old enough to serve as of right now, but because he will be 25, by the time he would be inaugurated, he's allowed to be on the ballot. He will go on to face the Democratic candidate, Mo Davis, and that's a Republican-leaning district. So at a sort of background level, at a base level, that is one that favors Republicans. There are 4 congressional candidates who support Medicare for All who won primaries yesterday. Richie Torres, Jamal Bowman, Mondaire Jones, and Dana Balter. So that's interesting and important, and we'll see what happens with their races in November. And then a really interesting story out of Virginia. Dr. Cameron Webb, I call him WebMD. That's how I refer to him, but officially Dr. Cameron Webb. He won the Democratic primary in Virginia's 5th district, and he will probably face off against Republican Bob Good in November. That would be a really great seat to turn from red to blue. Webb ran hugely on affordable health care. He's a physician. He was leading with 68% of the vote last I checked. So that's a big win for him. That actually is a traditionally Republican district, which is flippable. And Virginia has been what would I call it? Virginia has been a realistic focus of going blue. We've seen many elements of Virginia go blue over the last 8-10 years. And officially that race leans Republican, but it is a winnable seat. And we'll just have to see how the campaign shakes out. It's a wild district in that last election cycle, Republican Denver Riggleman won the seat by about 6 points and then was removed by the local Republican convention because he officiated a gay wedding for 2 of his old friends and campaign staffers, which is Virginia's been getting pulled blue. It is still Virginia, and this stuff still exists there. So a number of interesting races. This ties into how will we vote in November and the discussions of absentee ballots and vote by mail. We'll be talking about that later today. The desire for scientists and educators and doctors, at least on the Democratic side, seems partially to be related to what we've been seeing with coronavirus and the failed federal response in the United States. And that's exactly where I want to go next. If you love feeding your intellectual curiosity, but you're always struggling to find the time, check out one of my all-time favorite apps called Blinkist. Blinkist lets you consume an entire book on your way home from work. They take thousands of popular nonfiction books, condense each one into text or audio that you can get through in just 15 minutes, and you get all of the important core ideas and information from that book. It's perfect if you don't have enough time to do all the reading you want to do, or if you just want to sample a book before you buy the entire thing. I recently read A Brief History of Time, of course, by the great Stephen Hawking. This is a book that I have been aware of for so long, and other things got in the way, and it was fantastic to check it out on Blinkist. Blinkist has books on politics, philosophy, science. They have 27 different nonfiction categories, and a subscription is only about $8 a month, and you get the entire library. But you can try it totally free and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video.